the great conservative movement of America and of our time. A brush fire of freedom is being lit all over this country. We, as an irate, tireless American populace, will overcome a few radical leftists that control the levers of power today. Joe Biden's failed economic policies has given us inflation like you can't believe, and the border is in disarray.
It's amazing how few of the people commenting on this have actually bothered to go see what's happening. Well, Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona actually went to the border.
Biggs, where's Andy? Boy, oh boy, Andy. There's a guy. He's tough.
Morning, everybody. A little microphone feedback. Should be good now. My name is Andy Biggs, and welcome to another edition of What's the Biggs Idea, our regular podcast. Streamed to you live or coming to you by delay, so hope that you're watching. I want you to know and welcome a very special friend of mine serving in Congress from Illinois' 15th district. Just won a very contested primary. She's a member of the Freedom Caucus. She does a great job. She serves on committees on agriculture and education and labor. She is a staunch supporter and advocate for the pro-life movement. She's a member of the Pro-Life Caucus and the Values Action Team. Please welcome Mary Miller. We're glad to have you, Mary.
Thank you.
She just does a great job. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about something that's, I think, is right in Mary's wheelhouse, and that is the Dobbs decision. The Dobbs decision, Mary, as you know, is something that people advocated for, peacefully protested for, and prayed for literally decades. And so I just wanted to get your reaction on that. How did you feel when you heard about the Dobbs decision?
Well, of course, it's a tremendous victory for life and for the country. Obviously, the battle between good and evil never ends. But I woke up this morning and I was thinking about all the people, the faceless people who God knows, that have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to bring us to this point. And but we do have a lot of work to do still. We need to change, the hearts and minds of the people. And I think especially our youth are being targeted with lies about the life issue. And we need to, of course, recognize that, going forward for the future, we've got to make sure that they have the truth about this decision and about what abortion is and what the alternatives are. Yeah,
I mean, the history of this, you're just a young kid, but I remember, I shouldn't say, Mary, you've got, first of all, just talk, you've got how many children, how many grandchildren?
Seven children, and we just had our 19th grandchild.
There you go. And Chris is the head of the State Freedom Caucus in Illinois, and is a member of the State House in Illinois, right?
Yes.
And you guys farm.
We're farmers, and I've been involved in education, raising our kids, doing community things, but God sent me out here, and I want to call our country back to God. And in light of this, the abortion thing, our country really needs to weep and mourn over what we've done, and even in a way are continuing to do, what we've allowed. I think in a lot of cases, women have been lied to. I think the crisis pregnancy centers and the people that are working in that realm have done a great job in getting the truth out and being there for women to give them an alternative.
63 million babies estimated to have been aborted since Roe v. Wade. Amazing.
That's a lot of damage, a lot of pain, a lot of baggage,
and
a lot to repent over.
Yeah, and you look at it, and so the left I learned this a long time ago. The left never sleeps. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
while we might be celebrating, they never sleep. So they immediately come in. You've had Joe Biden issue an executive order. You've had the arguments yesterday in the Oversight Committee about wanting to codify Roe v. Wade. We have another hearing today in Judiciary. In the last 5 days, the Democrats have held 5 hearings on Capitol Hill, either in the Senate or the House, trying to facilitate and gin up support to basically ignore Dobbs
Right.
and reestablish Roe. So politically, they're never going to stop, it looks like. And so we also have the civil unrest related to this. And let's take a look at that first clip, you guys, Paul and Matthew, and let's just see how they responded. Yeah, so Mary, I mean, even in that, all the rioting that was going on, they showed one scene from the Arizona State Capitol
Oh.
that the protesters were trying to get in there because the state Senate was actually in session that night. And I can't help but compare it to the March for Life. Did you ever get a chance to participate in the March
I
for Life?
did.
Tell us, compare this. Give us a compare and contrast.
Oh, well, it was just beautiful. People weren't angry or ugly. They were smiling. They were. There was even the people that were speaking. There was a lot of. It was logical
Mhm.
and putting forth logic. You know, we've had 50 years of science going forth, and where are we going? We're running in the opposite direction to expand abortion rights. Like now, this week, you know, they want to vote on expanding abortion rights through the 9th month. And so I don't know, that AOC Chiefs has many bad ideas.
Yeah.
The people in my district, overwhelmingly support life.
Yeah.
And there's lots of crisis pregnancy centers are very supportive of the women. But I do have to say, so I had a bill, because I think the new push now is chemical abortion.
Absolutely right.
So I read that 40% of the abortions now are chemical abortion, which are very dangerous for women and girls. 40%, so it's do-it-yourself at home abortion. Again, they continue to lie to the women, saying it's safe. It's not safe.
Yeah.
But I had a bill that is going to prohibit federal funding from going to any college or university that's directly or indirectly offering chemical abortion services to the young women. But there was a woman that spoke at the Right to Life. She was a high school student and she found herself pregnant. Her boyfriend encouraged her to get an abortion. She was afraid to talk to her mom, which women are motivated by fear.
Yes.
Fear and ignorance, I guess. She went to Planned Parenthood. They did do a sonogram, but they wouldn't let her see it, which I have heard statistics overwhelmingly that women change their minds after they have a sonogram. But they gave her that pill, and anyway, long story short, she repented over it. She's married and has 4 children, and she spoke at the March to Life and shared her experience, and it was very moving.
Yeah, and what a difference that is to the unrest that's out there.
Yes.
You've had Pelosi and others say that the Supreme Court is illegitimate. You've had Mondaire Jones. I was there when he said, We're going to get rid of the filibuster and pack the court. That was regarding the Second Amendment. He's indicated the same thing with regard to abortion. And that's what they want to do. They want to, if we had acted that way in the early 70s on Roe v. Wade and continued to act that way, I don't know that we would have ever seen the results that we saw.
Well, it reminds me the 3 Ds: death, destruction, and deception.
Yeah.
That's what they're about. And even in the streets, they're just about tearing things down. They're lying, they're ugly. And you compare it to the movement for life. And in every way, it's like building up. It's not destroying things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you get Elizabeth Warren, who's just absolutely unhinged over this right now. But we just talked briefly about this too. I mean, the data that there's a group that's tracking this. There have now been 57, as of last night, 57 crisis pregnancy centers that have been vandalized, burned, death threats to workers, some assaults, and you couple that with there's a county here in Virginia, Northern Virginia, and in Maryland, they had a church burn over the weekend, and then you have 8 churches have been attacked in Fairfax County. I got a report last night from a source in Portland, Oregon. Again, 7-8 churches attacked in Portland area. We think everything is tied to this Dobbs decision, and it's an attack on religion because they know that most religion, a significant number of religion, supports life.
Right.
And so you have that. You have the attempted assassination of Brett Kavanaugh, Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh, the threats. Maryland has finally called out the police to protect Supreme Court justices who live in Maryland.
Little slow.
And so those death threats are out there. To me, it's unconscionable what we're seeing here. But when you say the 3 Ds, I love that because they want to destroy our institution and they're content to destroy the country if they need to.
When I go back to my district, I have told them that one of the greatest surprises to me is how the left lies without shame. And even on the House floor, some of the speeches that they give. But the Democrats, so many people in my district, I meet them all the time. They've switched parties. The old Democrat Party that had a more expanded view of the role of government versus the Democrat Party today are absolute radicals.
Yeah.
And, American people still hold to Judeo-Christian values, and the Democrat Party, those people like AOC, they just trash those and anybody that holds to those values. So, but I just want to tell people to not be afraid and that we need to be wise, but to speak up. Also, we don't want to use their ugly tactics. But I think the reason we've gotten to this place is that we haven't done that. And we've used legal means to get to where we are. We've used information and science and logic.
Right. Wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove kind of thing.
Right.
Well, so yesterday in our hearing, I wanted to bring this up for you. We had a Democrat witness who said, quote, "My abortion was the best decision I ever made. It was an act of self-love," close quote. And that has made it viral. So I've seen, they've now put that all over, not the left, but the right has, to show how radical they are. This is the mindset of the people that we're dealing with. And I think if that's the witness, I believe she belonged some group called Abortion Stories or something like that. And they're proud of their abortions, and they've been lied to. They don't understand and appreciate it as human life that they're taking.
Actually, I think the majority of women that have had abortions are regretful. But because we have a corrupt media, it's the media covering this, not the majority, but the minority group that's shouting their abortion.
It's always the loud few, isn't it?
And that's those stations that most people don't even watch anymore. blah, blah, blah. But, focus on the family. They've done great work. They've kept records. They've had a ministry to women that have had abortions, and
Right.
they actually feel the opposite, very regretful. They did it for the wrong reasons, or they were lied to.
Yeah,
Both.
I agree. I would agree with that. But the Democrats in Congress, as you know, they always parade these
Right.
absolutely, totally the most radical
Yeah.
leftists as if that is the normed position of most Americans.
Well, now they're
men or
trying
women.
to push transgendering our
Yeah.
children
Yeah,
like Americans want that, but that's why they're losing, and they're going to continue to lose.
yeah,
And that's why our borders open, I think, is they're just trying to make up for votes that they're losing.
oh yeah,
Because this is radical. They don't represent Americans, but I think we should continue on the mission of life,
Yep.
continue to support our crisis pregnancy centers, and look for ways to educate, young people that are in that age group that would be going for abortions.
So protecting crisis pregnancy centers, protecting people who are advocating for life. Let's watch a clip now of a pretty radical guy out of Maryland who sits in Congress with us, Jamie Raskin. He's a law professor. His history is he virulently hates Donald Trump and anybody who's associated with him, which means most of the Republican Party. So he made some rather interesting comments yesterday, in my opinion, in the Oversight Committee hearing. So, Matthew, if you guys have that.
Abortion is healthcare. My abortion was the best decision I ever made. It was an act of self-love.
I'm worried about this. It was the founder of the Republican Party, President Lincoln, who said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. Can we endure half free choice states and half theocratic compelled pregnancy states? Is that going to work for America?
Do you support infanticide, killing a child after he's born?
I do not agree with the basis of that question,
What's
but
the
I
basis?
do believe that abortion is health care.
Yeah. So, Mary, when she was the radical, so she was going to always say stuff like that. But you have a member of Congress basically equating the Civil War, a battle where almost 800,000 American soldiers died, fighting ostensibly over the notion of slavery. And so he's equating that with the pro-life movement. And you heard in his question, it was just filled with disdain for pro-life states. He called them states where you have theocratic compelled pregnancy. You know who used that language? When I used to do pro-life, pro-family issues at the United Nations and other multilateral institutions, in the International Criminal Court document, they were trying to impose language that called pro-life positions, they called that enforced pregnancy. And that's the language he uses. That's the language that the left uses today is forced pregnancy.
Wow.
It's code for, the hatred they have for the pro-life movement.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with such inflammatory, radical language and thoughts as Mr. Raskin?
I don't know. Elections have consequences, and I do have to put in a plug for President Trump being the most pro-life president that we've
Amen.
ever had.
Yeah.
And, he's just a hero for me over that issue in itself.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The other thing is the media won't cover us. They block us out, and then they just continually replay stuff like that, which is inflammatory. I mean, is he wanting a civil war over this?
I thought for a guy who shouts insurrection as much as he shouts, he sure gave some incendiary insurrectionist type of lingo here, And so pretty outrageous. And I don't think the media is going to cover him and say this is outrageous
No.
at all. So.
Well, I think regular Americans need to quit being quiet. They need to get involved.
Yeah.
They need to be engaging the people, the young people around them. Don't take it for granted. Your grandchild is pro-life because you are. They're probably going to schools and they're colleges, and they're, they're getting swamped with these radical ideas of celebrating death. And, I just can't believe after almost 50 years of science that now we want to kill a full-term 7 or 8 pound baby. And really every Democrat is on board with that in Congress.
Let's take a few things. I mean, so there's these common myths about abortion. It's a blob. Life doesn't begin at conception. It's not really a human being. It's your body, your choice. Help us break down some of those myths.
Well, I think that the pro-life movement has done a great job. Obviously, if it's just a blob of tissue, well, first of all, what's the abortion actually doing?
Yeah.
Because it is alive and it's developing, so they want to stop that. Then, it's got could have different blood type, could be a different sex. There's a lot of things that show you that it's distinct and separate from the mother. So have you ever seen the Abby Johnson's movie? That's a great movie. I didn't want to watch it. I thought it would be gross, but it's a great movie.
Powerful movie.
Is it called, what was it called?
Oh, gracious.
Unplanned.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I recommend.
I think I have it at home,
that.
right? So,
but I guess she thought she was doing good work as the head of a Planned Parenthood. She ran a Planned Parenthood, and got awards for it. And she said every day the pro-life people would be out there greeting her and being nice to her. And she said she was very ugly to them. But one day they were short-staffed and she had to go assist on an abortion. And she actually saw for herself what happened, or she saw that it was a baby.
Yeah.
And she walked out of the crisis pregnancy center that day.
No, the Planned Parenthood Center.
She walked out of the Planned Parenthood Center and went to the crisis pregnancy center. She said they were there waiting for her. And she said in the movie, they don't depict how ugly she acted toward them.
Yeah.
But they were always nice toward her. Yeah.
So let's talk about the Dobbs myth, because what the left immediately did, and of course they're outraged by this. They said abortion is outlawed nationwide. No, I would have got that was true, but it's not.
Right, they're greatly exaggerating the impact.
It actually Alito's decision actually takes this back to actually the rationale of state sovereignty, and the states and the voters of states are going to have sway. And so you got the crazies in Illinois or California and New York. They want to be abortion tourist centers.
Well, and Illinois.
Yeah.
I'm from Illinois. We have some of the most grievous and liberal abortion laws in the country. We recently rolled back parental consent for minor children. Yeah. And I don't know how that's all going to unfold, because there's just so many problems with that. Like, what if that minor child has complications, which some of them are, and the parents don't know about it?
Yeah, my guess is people don't realize that right now, the Department of Homeland Security is transporting pregnant women from processing centers out of Texas, probably out of Arizona to neighboring states to get abortions. Yeah, and girls. Yeah, it's
and there again, there's no parents.
Right.
For some of the minor.
Oh, well, because we don't know who their parents are anyway. I don't want to get too much down the immigration thing, but that's really a problem. Well, so they also will tell you that that the United States is just having Dobbs, that we're going to be unusual in the world. But the reality is, the unusual aspect in the world is that the U.S., with its pre-Dobbs Roe v. Wade stuff, was an outlier like China and North Korea, these totalitarian, godless societies that were aborting babies, to the 9th month, and you have crazy former governor Northam of Virginia basically saying it after the 3rd trimester, he was fine with abortions, and then if the baby is born and the mom didn't want it, you can leave it there to make it comfortable while it dies on the table, and then have a discussion between the physician and the mom at that point. This kind of outrageous lie, deception that you said it, you're right, it's deception, is permeating the left's movement to try to keep this alive. Yesterday we had another clip. This is me talking yesterday and trying to set the record straight a little bit. So, Matthew.
Gestational limits on abortion in the United States compared to international norms. I want to give you some European countries. Austria, limits to the first 3 months, and the rest of these are in weeks. Belgium 12, Bulgaria 12, Croatia 10, Cyprus 12, Czech Republic 12, Denmark 12, Estonia 11, Latvia 12, Italy 12, Hungary 12, Greece 12, France 14. You know what? America's laws pre-Dobbs were some of the most radical on this planet, right up until the exit of the birth canal.
Well, they want to say they're pro-choice, but they're pro-abortion.
That's exactly right.
I mean, even how they treat women, they don't give women the information. They don't say, hey, because what other medical procedure do you have when you don't have diagnostic tests before you have a procedure or surgery? None. And doctors are required to give you all the information and all the side effects. So here now in the abortion industry, they flat out lie to women, but they deceive them by not giving them the information. They should all have a sonogram. I've heard 80 to 90% of women change their mind after they have a sonogram. Then they should have a waiting period. I've heard of people that have wanted to even leave pregnancy centers. I mean, not pregnancy, Planned Parenthood, the abortions, after they had the sonogram, they changed their mind and don't want to have the abortion, but they were literally physically held onto to stay there.
Yeah, I've heard the same, and there should be prosecutions in cases like that. And
But can you imagine children going in without their parents?
Oh no! I mean, look,
a 14-year-old.
You've got to get, parents have to okie dokie an aspirin and those types of things at school or
I mean,
care
how
at
is this
school.
being allowed? How is it?
It's Sovietized. I mean, this is what would happen in the Soviet Union. It's what happens in China. It's what happens in North Korea. This kind of abortion and this type of authoritarianism that comes from the left, and that's really what this is all about. I used to say that abortion was the altar at which the Democrats worshipped, because the left has really become socialist. Some of them are communists or fascists for sure. But the real question is, what is it that drives them? And I think you're seeing with the violence post-Dobbs, and it has always been abortion. They would never give up on abortion. And this is their hill to die on. And I view it as of having a vacuum of no God when you...
I was totally thinking that when we were talking.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, we've kicked God out of the society, and we don't want to acknowledge that, number one, we were created by God with a purpose. We're going to actually end up, giving account to God for our life. But we've taken that out of our society. I guarantee you those people don't get up or in the morning or go to bed at night thinking about God. They're acting like animals. Look how they act on the street.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing stuff that we've got going on. Civil unrest, a member of Congress suggesting that that the country will split over this issue. And he may be right. I don't know. But
These
I mean,
are the same people that want to do away with parental rights on anything.
exactly.
So,
Well, and what is that like? That's the Platonic notion, going back to the Republic of Plato and many of his dialogues. But it's also reminiscent of Lenin and Marxist thought, which underpins communism in Soviet Russia and China. It's not the family. They don't view the family as the fundamental unit of a successful free society. They view the state as interceding between the parent and the child, and that's what you see with CRT. That's what you see now with abortion, etc. So
I think they've gone too far. I mean, what would be appealing about those people? Or their ideas? Their ideas are bad.
Yeah.
And, they're going to lose. American people aren't woke, but we're awake. More and more people are waking up.
Right.
You can just see that exodus from the major TV networks. People are onto them now. They lie. They have a total agenda. They don't report news. So
yeah, you have to be
they're
there.
digging a hole for themselves.
Well, Mary, we're out of time. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
How can people find you on social media?
It's Mary Miller for Congress. They can go to that site or marymiller.house.gov. I don't ever go to my own site.
Okay. Okay, great. Be sure to follow Mary, find out what she's doing. She's doing a great job in the United States Congress, 15th District of Illinois. Thanks for being with me today, Mary.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.